what we have here is not the 9070, but is instead the equally as not actually that equally the $300 350 kind of the 350. Okay, let's just go with 400. The $400 7600 XT 16 gigabyte. This would be more comparable to the 4060, but that currently I don't have that. And so I'll use the next best thing to benchmark it. Gigabytes 3050. No, I am not a Gigabyte fanboy. They were just cheapest at the time. Starting off with the 3050. Well, I can't really describe it. Actually, I can describe it. Well, even though there's a lot of videos about the low profile 3050, about going into low profile systems because of its changeable bracket, small size, no external power. I mean, the 4060 has a low profile variant, but so, now that most OEMs are going with 150 watt power supplies, and seeing that the 4060 has a TDP of, I don't know, 125 watts, you would be most likely, to put it simply, die the minute it starts drawing more than 70 watts. And even if your power supply is rated more than 150 watts, I still would not trust that. And a big factor is, well, most of the OEMs that use such power supply size are either the second or third gen i5s or fourth and fifth i5s. And even though there's a generational difference between those two CPUs I just mentioned, well, there's only a one generational difference, but they still have one issue. They're old. And this is a PCIe 4.0 card. Well, actually, this is probably so slow that PCIe speeds won't matter. But this will be. Part of me wants to say that this will be bottlenecked, but then again, it won't be bottlenecked because of how slow it is. It's a 96-bit bus. Unboxing it. Well, I already tore the 3050 out of its box, but this, oh, already broke it. But this is something more. I might replace my 3070 with this if it's worth it. Okay. It's massive. I don't get to often play with cards that have triple fans, and I have never really tested a triple fan on my channel before. This is my first, and I'm pretty excited. What am I doing? I'm not going to turn off the camera now just to pull it out. You're watching this. Wow, it's hefty lot of cooling. Ooh, dual 8-pin, and that new card smell. If you wanted to, you could do some some pretty decent overclocking and not have to worry about 8 pins. Like, this is my ASRock 7600. No, it's not even a 7600. It's just a 6600. And it's pretty fine, decent in size, but I am struggling to hold both cards. I gotta put this down. Well, currently, even though I have a 5500 system, if that 6600 couldn't fit in there, that 7600 XT is definitely not gonna fit in there. So, we're gonna use this old dinosaur. Wait, couldn't I just swap the motherboard in there? Well, technically, you're right. But I don't feel like it. So we're gonna be using this beauty, if the camera would focus on it. Come on, come on. Yeah, there you go. The i7 3077. Oh, for once the camera actually focuses on the numbering. As much as I wanted to use the i5, actually i7, for this video, the motherboard for it just died. I don't know why, it just died. And so I put in a B350 Ryzen CPU I already had, and we're just gonna go from there. We're still bottlenecked by PCIe 3.0, but majority of you are probably running PCIe 3.0. And if you are running PCIe 4.0, you might have slightly better performance. In World of Warship's maximum settings, the 7600 XT's strong suit is having 16 gigabytes of VRAM. Obviously, with this game not barely even using more than 4, we don't get to see that. But here is the raw power of the card itself. And compared to something like the... I'm not going to stab the 4060 this time. I'm going to stab the 3060. Compared to the 3060, this card obviously is better. I wouldn't say it leapfrogs it in performance, but the 3060 is good for having 12 gigabytes of VRAM, while the 4060 just has newer architecture, which is not very much to go off of. But the 7600 has all of that. Better, newer architecture. Well, not newer. The 7000 series is just still being produced, not actually 90 series class. But you get the point. Right, newer architecture, newer features, newer drivers. Yeah, it's a pretty decent new card. And not to mention, I got this for $300. And if you want the same amount of VRAM for something like the 4060, you gotta pay a hefty price of $500. Which, and not to mention, I'm pretty sure the 40 series is no longer being produced. So you're gonna have to wait until the 5060 or the 5050, which will be pretty much a revamped GTX 1660. World of Warships tends to be a NVIDIA-biased game, as clearly seen by the NVIDIA logo appearing on the front of the game when you open it up. So obviously there's nothing for me to say about the 3050 other than the fact that it has no VRAM, and a 2060 would be better. LOL. Actually, speaking of the 2060, it's very better, not because of the physical card itself. Actually, it is technically the physical card, but the fact that it has a bigger bit bus than the 3050, even with slower memory. My capture card from Shenzhen is not able to capture any good game footage at all. You know why? Because it's from Amazon and I got it from $40. But here we are, Forza Horizons. Why am I saying that as an S? Forza Horizon 5, maximum settings. And I was expecting us to use like something like 11 gigabytes of VRAM, but apparently Forza Horizon doesn't need that much VRAM to go there. I guess if you push it a little, it might, like in certain areas, you might use like 11. But that's still 11. A 2060 could have, a 3060 could handle that to a GTX 1080 Ti goated card. Forza Horizon 5 maximum so 50 blah 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 blah. Fuck DLSS. I don't like this card running at all. In Team Fortress 2, The RX 7600 does not even register it's being used. Like, look at that. It's not even drawing wattage from the power cables. That wattage amount is just directly from the slot. And looking at the video memory, yeah, that's 3 gigabytes. The only time you would have an issue in this game is when you have 2 gigabytes or just a 1. Speaking of 1, I might benchmark the spare GTX 1050 Ti I have, but that's for a later video. We're talking about the 7600 XT against the 3050. Oh boy, the 3050. Where do I even begin with that thing? Wait, I'm an engineer. Shit, we're run out of metal. Hurry. To the crate. No, there's not much to say, so let's look at the 3050 side of things. Unlike, well, the 7600 XT for Team Fortress 2, where I had the motivation to film and talk into the microphone, I did not have that same motivation for the 3050. So you're gonna hear a voiceover, which is okay, because it's the middle of the night right now as I'm filming this, and I'm pretty tired, so the 3 a.m. motivation is kicking in. So, in Team Fortress 2, 1080p maximum settings, we see pretty average, but as in, like, if this was a, I don't know, 9-year-old card, like my GTX 980, it's not that far in performance from the 3050. It's actually, I would actually take the 980 instead of the 3850, because during the time of filming of the 980, I got it for $47. And for the 3050, I got it for $200. And how much more performance do I gain from, I don't know, $100 in a price gap? Not much. I mean, sure, I get slightly newer drivers, DLSS, RTX, but what if I want to play games like Team Fortress 2 that has spaghetti programming? Or what if I don't like the looks of ray tracing? Well, that all comes down to user preference. So personally, I would go for the 90. Some people will go for the 3050, but in reality, we should all be going for the 6600. Final thoughts. Oh boy, where do I begin? The 3050 is good in low-profile use case scenarios, from being decently short, decently small, capable of coming with a half-height card bracket. That's a lot, and that's already good. But that's good until you look at other things, because low-profile 4060, low-profile 1050 Ti used. Yeah, brand new low-profile cards aren't something I would recommend, because unless you really need a low-profile card and you don't want the Radeon equivalent, the RX 6400, which is proven to be fine, then you can get the 3050. There's no stopping you. But if you have a full-size desktop, external power, then I'd recommend, and literally anything else in that price range. The RX 6600, the RTX 3060 if you can find one. Now, obviously, it's not going to be brand new, but you get the gist. I mean, some 4060s, like open box, I found for $200. The exact same price as my 3050. Now, on to the 7600. The 7600 XT, 16 gig, it's awesome. Well, but 16 gigs does not equate to better FPS. Something like a 4070 Ti or 40 nope, we're not going to talk about the 4060 Ti 16 gig. It's a 128-bit bus.
Okay, then let's talk about the 4070 Ti. It's a pretty decent card. Art, I I wouldn't go glaze it going, oh, Radeon the best, Radeon good. I'd say it's pretty good for what it is in its category. It's an XT card, it's the 600 range, and you get some solid FPS. And I just walked into that. Of course, not everyone's going to like Radeon, so even after this video, you still don't think the RX 7600 XT is any good at all. Fine, I've done my best to try and convince you. Go buy that glorious RTX 5070, even though the 9070 XT exists for the same price. Actually, if you can find one these days. GPU market sucks. Bye. Oh, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Please, it really helps, and it gives me motivation to do these kind of videos.